What is up, Not So Pro Football Talk? We're back again with another video here. Week 7 of the power rankings. It's going to be crazy. I'm just going to get right to it, guys. I'm going to go ahead and start off with our grading criteria, as I always do. Offensively, I'm grading points scored, offensive efficiency, strength of offensive matchup. Same thing on the defensive side, except flipped. Points allowed, defensive efficiency, and strength of defensive matchup. And this is all week by week. So I've done it the past 2 weeks in week 5 and week 6. Now I'm going on to week 7 and how I'm going to rank them before week 7 begins. So let's get right into it. Week 7 was just a crazy type of week. I mean, a lot of teams that were in the bottom 15 lost. A lot of the teams that were in the top 15 mostly won. So it was kind of hard just to see how teams were going to rise and fall when like the next 10 teams above them either had won or lost. So it was hard just re-ranking based on, of course, is the team that's ranked above them going to beat the team below them if they were to match up this week, and vice versa for every single positioning. So again, as I said, this one was crazy. I'm going to go straight into it here with number 32. I have the Cleveland Browns again. They're going to stay here for me. They're just really bad, and they just lost Amari Cooper. So Amari Cooper is going to the Buffalo Bills. So it's going to be interesting, to say the least, on how he's going to do there. But yeah, the Browns are just doing bad. It wasn't a bad game against the Eagles. But again, I just don't see very much upside here. I think this team right here is the worst team in the NFL, and I think it could stay that way. Moving on to number 31 here. I mean, again, I have another team staying. It's going to be the Raiders, just like it was last week. It's just not good for the Raiders. Of course, as the Browns did, the Raiders also traded somebody away, and that's Davante Adams. He is going to rejoin his best buddy. Even showed up on, I believe, the Pat McAfee show when Aaron Rodgers was on there, pretty much hours after it was announced. So I'm pretty sure that Rodgers has his hand there in management over there for the Jets. But Raiders are just going to get a lot worse. Brock Bowers benefits from this, but nobody else really does. So fantasy purposes, Raiders, if you have anybody on there, I think it's time to drop them or try to trade them for some pennies. At 30 here, I'm going to put the Jacksonville Jaguars. They had not the greatest loss, but not the worst one either. So, I mean, they lost to the Bears. It was expected, in my opinion, 16-35. It's not too crazy, but again, I think it could be a lot better. Hopefully next week they have a better shot against the Patriots. They are going to stay in London, but again, they also traded somebody away to the Seahawks. They traded their defensive tackle in Roy Robertson Harris. So it's not such a big loss for them, but I guess you could say that it is compared to what the team has been doing. But yeah, so against the Patriots, they should be able to be better. But again, I still think they're at the bottom of the barrel there. The record shows it sitting at 1-5. At 29, you're probably guessing who's going to be here. If you did, go ahead and put it down in the comments saying that you're correct. But I have the New England Patriots here. Again, it's just not very good loss for them. But again, not the worst loss in expectance that they had Drake May out there. So pretty good to finally get the rookie quarterback out there and running and passing. He did not so bad in my opinion. I think it was probably one of the best starts from a rookie I've seen in a while, besides Jaden Daniels. But definitely better than Caleb Williams when he first started out. Definitely better than Trevor Lawrence, who is below them at this point in time. But they went against the Texans here. It was a tough game. They lost 21-41. You can expect that with Stroud and the company that they have there. Even though Nico Collins is out, they still balled, and I think the Texans will continue to ball. But Patriots here, 29, I think fits perfectly. They are in a rebuild if you didn't know that already. But if you're a Patriots fan, I would think that the future is bright, especially if Drake May can continue to play like this. But for now, sitting at 29, New England, it's probably going to be your spot around here for a while. Alrighty, so here at 27, it's a team who had a bye week. This is the Miami Dolphins for me. They moved up just because I felt like the Panthers and Patriots and a couple other teams played a little bit better or worse. So the Dolphins are going to go ahead and move up for me 2 spots from last week. It is what it is. I think that the Tua news, of course, of him coming back. Mike McDaniel said this just this past week. I think it's good news. Now, the only thing is, when is he coming back? I would like him to come back for fantasy purposes, but I also want him to recover fully just to make sure that nothing is going to cause residual effects on the field or anything after just 1 hit, 2 hits, 3 hits. We got to make sure that he's good. They have to do something. He's got to pay for some extra protective wear in there. I think he should possibly wear the Guardian cap if it would even help, even a little bit. But it'd be pretty weird for a quarterback to wear it. So we'll see what happens. But Dolphins are here at 27. They're going to go ahead and play the Colts next week after having their bye week. So it could turn out to be in their favor here, getting the extra rest time for their players. But hopefully, whoever's there at quarterback, which is not going to be Tua because he's still on IR, hopefully they can get it going and catch the dub here versus the Colts. Alrighty, so here at 26, they're going to be the same teams in a lot of areas that are going to be at the same spot, and this is one of them. The Tennessee Titans here are going to stay at 26 for me, even after a loss. I didn't think that they played too bad, but of course, a loss is a loss. Losing to the Colts so close in 17-20 was not what I expected. I actually chose the Titans to win this game and cover, but it happens the way it happens. Sorry, Rave. I was trying to be on your side here, but next week I don't think I will be because they're going up against the Bills. The Bills are starting to get things going, possibly. We'll see, but I don't think the Titans have enough firepower just to keep up with them, even with the injuries on the Bills. The new addition with Amari Cooper could be interesting if he does play this week, but we'll have to wait and see. I still think the Bills without Amari Cooper and with the injury to Cook, if he doesn't play as well, will do just fine. Ray Davis had a game, and I think he'll continue to. So for now, Titans 26, possibility of moving down after this week. Now here we are. We have the Giants here at 25. They moved down 1 spot for me because I think it was a hard, tough loss for them against the Bengals. I think this is a game where they could have definitely kept it close like they did the entire game. I mean, I believe that it was 7-10 up until the last few minutes of the fourth quarter where the Bengals got a go-ahead score to put them over and cover. But it happens just like that. So the Giants are again going to be trending down for another time during the season, but they're not too bad sitting at 2-4. They're going to go ahead and face the Eagles here, who are sitting at 3-2. So they could do a little bit of a switcheroo here. They'll still be below them, but once the Giants have a bye week, maybe they can overtake the Eagles. Who knows? The Giants are kind of a wild card for me here. As soon as they get Malik Neighbors back, I think it'll be a lot better for them. But for now, I have them sitting at 25, and I think next week it's a high possibility that they are going to lose. But if they win, I wouldn't be shocked with the way the Eagles are playing. Next, here at 24, we're going to have the Los Angeles Rams moving up on their bye week, just like, again, some other teams in this week. But I just think they're better than the Giants, better than the Titans at this point in time. They could have the possibility of Cooper Kupp coming back, which would be tremendous for them. But of course, after the bye, they're going to go ahead and face up against the Raiders here. So I think this could be an easy win for them, especially with Devontae Adams out of the door, even though he wasn't playing the past few weeks of injury. We'll see if he plays this week miraculously. But I think the Rams could get a win here. If they don't, I'd be pretty surprised. I just think they're the better team overall. I don't think the Raiders have anything going, whether it's Minshew or whether it's O'Connell. So the Rams with Matthew Stafford, I think, always have a chance as long as he's under center. And I think they'll get it done here. So I think the Rams could possibly moving up this week. But for now, sitting here at 24. Now, here we go. This is probably the worst, honestly, the worst game I've seen in a while from the Cowboys. They're going to be here at 23 for me. They just got freaking demolished by the Lions. And, I mean, the Lions are just playing with their food the entire time. So I have the Cowboys here dropping 4 spots. Possibly could have been more. I do think there's a world here where the Cowboys could beat the Rams if they get everything together. But they just had a tough matchup against the Lions here. So I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. So if you're a Cowboys fan, you better hit the like button because this could have been a lot worse for you guys in my power rankings. But I still think you guys have a decent team. I don't think that this team is going to be a contender this year, of course. I've said that in past lives. I've said that in past videos. But the Cowboys right now just need to get something going. Jerry Jones is, I mean, in lack of a better word, blowing his brains out at this point in time, going on talk shows and getting mad. And he just was not happy about this loss. And I don't think anybody who's an owner or, the GM as well could be happy about this. So Cowboys, you got to do better. Now here at 22, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. Of course, they had the pretty bad win, in my opinion. I wanted to have them moving down, but again, I still think this team could possibly be better than the Cowboys. I've said that in past videos as well this week, so I'm going to keep it that way. But I need my shades for this because, I mean, the Eagles just played horrendous. It's hurting my eyes just looking at the score here. 20-16 against the freaking Browns. I mean, what's going on here? Like I said, I thought maybe that they would be possibly moving down just because of how poorly they played, even with their stars in Devontae Smith and AJ Brown back. I mean, they also have Saquon, for crying out loud. Why are you having a tough time against the Browns here? But I'll take off these shades because there's some upside coming into this next week. They go against the Giants. I don't think this is a pushover win, but I think this is the area where the Eagles could possibly make a statement and say, we're still a remnant of what we were when we got over there to the Super Bowl, when we started making the playoffs, when we started contending for taking this division outright. But as you see, Cowboys are sitting at 23, Eagles are sitting at 22. I don't think this division is very competitive. So, of course, the New York Giants are just below them. The only team that's really worth a dang here is the Washington Commanders. So, Eagles, just like the Cowboys, I'm going to say it for you, you have to do better. Alrighty. I know I said I was going to bet against this team here at 21 for the rest of the season, but I'm going to have the Jets here at 21, only moving down one spot after the tough loss against the Bills. I mean, 20-23, this was definitely one of the Jets' best games, and now they're getting Devontae Adams, who I'm pretty sure is miraculously going to play this week, just off of that pesky hamstring injury that's just going to heal outright once he gets over there to New York. He looked fine in Aaron Rodgers' video, so we'll see what happens. But the Jets are going against a tough defense in the Steelers. The only thing that I might take the Jets here for is that Russell Wilson is starting again. And Russell Wilson is probably going to be very darn rusty on that offense. I have no idea why they're benching my boy, Justin Fields, but for some odd reason, the Steelers in the organization are just, I guess, wanting to try out what they see in Russell Wilson. I mean, they're paying him like $1 million just to be there because, I mean, the Denver Broncos are still paying for a majority of his contract, which is outright insane still. But I think the Jets could actually pull this off. I think next week, going into my week 8 video, I think they might be moving up. So we'll see. All right, here at 20, I'm going to have the Arizona Cardinals. They're the worst in the NFC West division. I could say that pretty good. But definitely they lost this game by the points that they did. 21 points to the Packers. It was 13-34. They lost Marvin Harrison to concussion. And it was pretty bad. I mean, hopefully, maybe he'll be back, not this week, but next week. I don't think that it's smart to bring back a player in 1 week and rush it. Of course, he's got to get cleared and everything, but the chances of getting another concussion are very tremendously high when you only have 1 week of rest, especially if it's your first concussion. You definitely don't want to have recurring ones. The first one should be a warning flag. That's what your body's trying to tell you. But the Cardinals have the Chargers next week. The Chargers looked pretty good, I guess you could say. But again, the Broncos almost came back at them. So we'll see how the Chargers play against the Cardinals. And I don't know, man. I don't know if the Cardinals are going to be trending up after this week. Now, here right now, I just talked about this team. It's not the Chargers, it's the Denver Broncos. I have them sitting at 19 here, and they have, they played a good game. Of course, the LA Chargers got out to a big lead against them. I believe it was 20-0, if not 23-0 at one point in time. And they ended up coming back and losing the game 23-16. So it is what it is. The Broncos put up a fight. I really like what Bo Nix is doing for this team. Of course, I was skeptical about him, especially going to week 1 when he played the Seahawks. I didn't think he was going to be all that in a bag of chips, but he's turning out to be one of the best quarterbacks out of this draft class. But for now, the Broncos are going to have, I think, an easier matchup now against the Saints. In the beginning of the season, I would probably say this is going to be one of their toughest games. But the Saints are very banged up. Kamara is always week to week, trying to see if he's actually going to not play one of these games. But of course, they lost Olave, and of course, they're most likely going to lose Shaheed this week. So they could have some no-name receivers out there, and Rattler might still be the starting quarterback if Carr can't get back. So this one could be tough against the Saints if the Broncos aren't running on all cylinders. But if they're playing up to their par, I do think they'll beat the Saints here. We'll have to see. For now, they're going to be at 19. And there you go. Would you look at that? At 18, I have the team that the Denver Broncos are playing here, the New Orleans Saints. Welcome here to the bottom half of the league. Last week, they were at 16. Now they're at 18. So welcome, welcome. But again, like I said when I was talking about the Broncos, it's not looking good for the Saints here. I mean, of course, they lost to their rivals, the Bucks. They almost made a comeback themselves. I know that it was looking pretty bad. I think it was 24-3 or 24-0. And then miraculously, the Saints scored 27 points, and it's 27-24. And then out of nowhere again, Buccaneers just score another whopping, I don't even know how many points it was. I think it was 24, 27 points to make the score 51-27 at the end of this. So the Saints are just looking bad defensively. They're looking bad offensively with all these injuries. I don't think it's going to look up for them. I think they will most likely lose this game with Spencer Rattler as the quarterback. If Derek Carr is out there, I really don't think it's much better with what this roster has in store. So for the Saints, I think in week 8 of my week 8 video will most likely be trending down. But for now, they can rejoice because they're at 18 above their opponent. And here we go. For all you haters of the Seahawks, here they are. They sit in the bottom half of the league for me in my power rankings. I hopefully thought maybe I wouldn't be able to have them here, and that dream is ruined. So here you are, 17, Seattle Seahawks, after a pesky loss to the 49ers. I thought this one could have been the one where we get one on them. It's been a while, but we haven't. We haven't gotten everything figured out yet. Mike McDonald still has some learning to do against Shanahan, and it's just going to be tough always going against these 49ers. But I know AJ is happy about that win, but I am not happy about the loss. 24-36 in our home field at Lumen Field with me present, as well as my brother, who's also a Seahawks fan. Wasn't pretty. But I still think there's a lot to work on offensively. Our offensive line is horrendous. I hope this is something that we actually look at in the draft heavily. I hope that we have a decent pick this year, maybe mid-round, where we can actually get a quality offensive lineman. And I mean, I think we need to get at least 4 offensive linemen, whether it's offensive guard, outside tackle, because we need to have backups. I mean, our starters right now, we're running with our 3rd string, or no, actually our 4th string right tackle and our 2nd string right guard, and I believe our 2nd string left guard as well. So it's not looking good. We're going to be at the bottom of the totem pole with offensive line play. And then, of course, Byron Murphy, our number 1 pick, or our first round overall pick, my bad. Basically, in my opinion, he's our number 1 pick. But he is injured as well. Hopefully he can come back this week. I mean, we're going to have a tough game against the Atlanta Falcons. It's going to be tough, in my opinion. I know that we could possibly win this game, but it is over there in Atlanta. It's going to be pretty crazy to play over there in that nice stadium, I'll say. But our stadium's nicer, just saying that right now. But the Falcons are 4-2, and it's not looking pretty good for us to get this dub the way we've been playing. So if they can get pressure on Geno Smith, it just disrupts our whole game plan. Hopefully, we can get the run going because that's the only way I think we actually win this game. Because right now, Atlanta looks good. I think possibly they could sneak their way into the playoffs and maybe catch a fast one on one or two teams in that playoff run. But Seahawks sitting here at 17. Sorry for my blabbering, but I need to rant to somebody on this team. All right, so here at the top half, I have the Chargers, the LA Chargers here at 16. They moved up so considerably from last week. I think they are playing some better football. Yes, they almost gave up that one win here that has moved them up this far after their bye week to the Broncos. But 23-16 wasn't the prettiest win, but they looked a little bit better, even though they had some adversity with their head coach leaving for some time. Harbaugh did have atrial flutter. If you want to look that up, it's something that is not very life-threatening, but it is something to be checked on. So hope he's okay. Hopefully that he doesn't have that incident again this year, as he might be having some stress there with the Chargers. But getting back to football here, Chargers, again, like I said, don't look too bad. They're getting some stuff on offense. The defense looks a little bit better. I know that they are very highly ranked, and they do get to the quarterback quite well, and they stuff the run quite well as well. But again, the Chargers are the Chargers. They're sitting at 3-2 for a reason. I think this next week against Arizona could possibly be an easy game, but it very well could be a hard game for them. Again, the Chargers are just a team right now that's playing up to their opponent's level, and usually it doesn't go their way too often, as we saw last year as well. A lot of games where they lost by one possession or only won by one possession. So Chargers, you still got some work to do, but the team is looking a little bit better under Harbaugh, and hopefully going into next year, you guys can get something going to possibly make a playoff run. Alrighty, here at 15, I have the Indianapolis Colts. As I talked about when I said Titans, they did play the Titans this week, and they got the quick dub against them, 20-17. But again, I only think that was possible because Joe Flacco, he played pretty good. Of course, AR still dealing with that injury here and there. Joe Flacco led this team again to a win, in my opinion. So they're moving up to 15 here. I think as long as they have Joe Flacco under the helm, I think they are a good team. I think they are a top 16 team. But as soon as AR, Anthony Richardson, gets out there, again, I think they fall below that line of mid-tier because they can't get the passing game going with him. Again, the running game doesn't look too good with him in there, even though it should be a dual option there. You know, quarterback run, quarterback keep, quarterback hands it off to the running back, or the option to a slant or an out route. So we'll see. Colts still have a lot, in my opinion, to go ahead and get going before they are a contender here with Anthony Richardson. I know as soon as he's healthy, they're going to start him, and I think it just doesn't benefit the Colts right now, but it benefits AR in getting some more snaps and possibly getting better at the position of quarterback. So Colts, you still got a lot of work to do, but you sit here at 15. Alrighty, so this is where these rankings kind of got a little tough for me because as you're going to see going into these next few weeks, all these teams got wins, and it was really hard to rank these teams. So for right now at 14, I have the Steelers, and as you can see there on the graphic, they went down even though they won. As you can see, the down arrow is green. They went down to 14. Again, as I said, this was hard. When you see these next teams, you might agree with me why they're here. But I also think this because Russell Wilson is going to be starting. I think this is a downgrade for them. Justin Fields has finally got some momentum. He's finally looking, I'll say decent for you guys who aren't as high as him as I am. But I think the Steelers are not going to look pretty against the Jets with Russell Wilson out there. I wouldn't even put it past the Steelers to bench Russell Wilson after the half and put Justin Fields back in and just bite the bullet and say, we probably made a mistake with benching Fields. But we'll see. It's going to be a tough game here. They did get the dub, like I said. against the Las Vegas Raiders, so it wasn't a hefty win, and that is also why I have them going down this week. But we'll move on here. I think the Steelers are a good team, but for now, they're going to sit at 14 for me, and they did trend down. So let me know down in the comments what you think of that. And sitting here at 13, I have the Bengals moving up. They got the pesky win, I guess, over the Giants. Like I said, the Giants aren't a bad team as much as we thought they were going to be this year. But the Bengals had 13, only won 17-7 against the Giants. And like I said, it was the last minute touchdown to put them up 10 points. If not, this game could have possibly ended by only a win of 3 points. So that wouldn't have looked good for the Bengals, but in my opinion, I still think this offense is running very well under Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. But of course, T. Higgins, man. T. Higgins is getting in there. He's getting his. He's looking good. And I love to see it for fantasy purposes. But the Bengals still need to figure out some things on defense. And of course, still need to get over the hump and beating these teams that are just not as good as them. And of course, beating the teams that are probably better than them. They need to get back into the playoff race. They're 2-4, not looking good in their own division. And of course, not looking good at all in their conference. So Bengals, you'll sit here at 13. Hopefully you can continue to trend up as you got the Browns this week. Should be an easy win, but will they make it a tough one? We'll see. Alrighty, so here at 12, I'm going to have the Chicago Bears. And as you can see on the graphic there, they're going to stay at 12 for me. Like I said, these next few teams, it was just so hard for me to move them up or down because all these teams are pretty even to me. And I still think the standings that I did last week are pretty accurate for this week. So the Bears are going to be here at 12 here. They beat the Jags. I mean, it's not something to hype up about. So that's why I still have them sitting at 12. 35-16 is what I expected the Bears to do against the Jags in London. But again, you can't discredit the win. They're looking good, even though all their wins are against subpar teams. Literally, they have the same amount of wins as all 4 teams that they beat combined. So it's just, not the highest win rate you want to see from the Bears as they're growing, but it helps Caleb Williams get acclimated to the league, and it'll help him maybe have some more confidence when they go ahead and play some tougher matchups after this bye week in week 7. Alrighty, so here at 11, I have the Houston Texans going down. Even though they got the win here against the Pats, it was an expected win. So like I said, again, these teams, it was so hard to rank them in the positions that they were at compared to where they are at now. So I have them moving down to 11, even though they won a game. Again, this win was just not as highly ranked for me. They were going against the 30th overall team. They're going again against a bottom 5 team after this power ranking. So in my opinion, Texans are still looking decent, but this win against the Pats just didn't do it for me to have them move up. So I have them moving down here to 11, and I think they could possibly be moving down next week again. They have a tough matchup against the Packers, who are rolling at this point. Jordan Love and company are looking good. We'll see if the Texans can possibly sneak out a dub here, but I think it's going to be pretty dang tough against that defense and holding that offense to as minimal points as you can. But for now, they can rejoice. They're here at 11. Still a top team, in my opinion, a contender in the playoffs. And we'll see. Sitting at 5-1, I think they're looking pretty good. So hopefully they can keep it rolling. Alrighty, falling down to the 10 spot here, I have the Washington Commanders. They looked pretty good, in my opinion, in this game. It was just a really tough matchup against Baltimore. Only losing 23-30 is not bad, in my opinion. Now, I wanted them to cover, but I still think that their efforts were pretty good. Getting a lot of 4th down conversions, it was pretty crazy to see. Jaden Daniels is just him, man. He's going out there, making plays that he probably shouldn't as a rookie, but he is, and I love to see it. I was sad to move them down to 10 here, but I just think that the teams that actually won a game this week looked a lot better than the Commanders did. Even though they played a pretty tough opponent, I still think the Commanders can make their way back up, possibly get into the top 5 one of these days. But for now, after the loss, I have to move them down. It just didn't feel right to keep them where they were at. above some other teams. But the Commanders are still very scary. And I think going against the Panthers here, they should either move up 1 or 2 spots next week. We'll see how everybody else does. But for now, Commanders sitting at 10, still a top 10 team, but still a very, very scary top 10 team. Alrighty, guys. Well, they finally did it. They cracked above the top 10 or into the top 10, I would say. The 49ers have had a road here since I started doing this power rankings, but they haven't really moved too much. Of course, at week 5, they were at the 10 spot for me. Week 6, they dropped down to 11. And after the win against my Seahawks at Lumen Field, they move up to 9 here. Again, I think they could possibly move up a little bit more. And I think if they get a dub here next week against the Chiefs, I think it'd be pretty crazy. And I think I would have to be forced to move them up at least 2 or 3 spots after that dub. But we'll see. Kansas City Chiefs are 5-0 for a reason. And the 49ers, I mean, they're sitting at 3-3. So it's not a bad record to have considering what they had to deal with in the beginning of the season. A lot of drama, a lot of stuff going on. But 49ers, I cannot say that they don't look good. They are looking better and better each week. And I think going into this week, it should be a very competitive game against the Kansas City Chiefs. And I'm kind of looking forward to it. So we'll see what happens. I know AJ is going to be biting his nails, and fighting his demons here. But just like every other 49ers fan, this is a game that you really, really want to win. So we'll see where they stand at week 8. For now, they're at number 9. So here at the 8 spot, I have the Atlanta Falcons still sitting here at 8. They did get the W against the Carolina Panthers last week. And again, it's not a highly contested team. They really didn't win all by too many points, only 18 against this very, very needy team in a win again. But Andy Dalton could not get it done. They lose 38-20 against the Atlanta Falcons here. But I still don't think that win warranted moving up for the Falcons. So I kept them here at 8. I still think there are 7 teams better than them at this point in time. And next week against the Seahawks, I think it's a tougher test. We're going to be getting some guys back. Hopefully we can put up a fight against the Falcons there in Atlanta. It's going to be a tough one. I do think the Falcons have a better chance of winning this game, but I always think us being as underdogs, we have that chip on our shoulder. We are hungry for a win. So Falcons, I hope you're moving down after this week 7 power rankings, but we'll have to wait and see. For now, you sit again at number 8. So here again, this is another team that, I was delineating where I was going to put them. But the Buccaneers, I have them at 7. They did have a tough loss against the Falcons last week, but I think they rebounded this week. They had a tougher matchup, in my opinion. That's the only reason why I have them above the Falcons, even though the Falcons beat them the previous week. But it was only by 6 points. I think the Buccaneers learned from that. I think they had a chip on their shoulder going into this game, and they killed their divisional rival in the New Orleans Saints. 51-27, that's a statement game. I think that is why I have the Buccaneers moving up from 10 last week to 7. I think this team is pretty scary again. They made the playoffs last year. They were they were looking pretty good. But the Buccaneers still look good, and I think they can keep it going as long as Chris Godwin and Baker Mayfield have that connection. For now, I'm going to leave the Buccaneers here in the top 10. We'll see after this week, as they have a tough matchup against the Baltimore Ravens. Just like the Commanders, I hope this game is close. But if not, we'll see where the Buccaneers fall. Whenever you play a matchup against a tough top 5 team, in my opinion, it's always hard to see how far you're going to fall in the power rankings. So hopefully they can keep this game close. Even if they lose, I think they should still be considered a top 10 team because they're going to be losing to a top 5 team. But maybe they'll shock the world. Maybe they'll be the Ravens. We'll see. For now, the Buccaneers are sitting pretty at number 7. So moving on here at number 6, I'm going to have the Buffalo Bills. They are a team, again, who got a win, but are going to be moving down. So it wasn't the best quality win. I thought they were going to win by more, but the Jets came to play. And when the Jets come to play, it's going to be a good one. But right now, the Bills move down to 6 for me, only a 23-20 victory over the Jets. I think that next week against the Titans, it should be an easier matchup. So I would expect them to win this game. Again, I don't know if they're going to be moving up after that win. We'll just have to wait and see on how the teams above them do this week. But again, if the Bills get a dub, always going to reevaluate on toughness of schedule and all those criteria again back in the beginning of the video. So if you want to see those again, check them out. Should be in the first minute. But for now, I'm going to have the Bills at 6. I still think they need a lot to work on and a lot of guys to come back from injury. And we'll see. Does Amari Cooper make a difference, or is this team looking very similar? All right, Reed, you got your wish. At number 5, inside the top 5, we have the Green Bay Packers. I think they were deserving of a move up here. They played the Cardinals, who have put up some pesky wins against some good teams, in my opinion, including the 49ers. But can't really talk. Seahawks couldn't get it done against 49ers. So really, how good are the Seahawks compared to the Cardinals? We'll have to wait and see in a few weeks. But right now, I'm talking about the Packers here. They beat the Cardinals 34-13, a quality win in my opinion, even though it was against a, not so good team, but still in the top 20 ranked. But yeah, have them moving up just one spot here. We'll see again after this week with the 4 teams above them if they're going to keep moving up. And of course, they're going to have to go win against maybe one of their tougher matchups besides the Vikings, the Texans here. So it should be a good game in my opinion. I do think the Packers have the edge here, but again, you just never know any given Sunday. Reed, let's see if your team moves up next week, but for now, they're going to be at 5, just like you wanted. All right, so sitting at 4, I have the same team. Even though they did have a quality win against a top 10 team, in my opinion, the Ravens are still going to be at 4 here. I still do not believe they are better than the top 3 teams at this point in time. So it didn't warrant me a push-up for them there. But a quality win against the Commanders, like I said, 30-23. This next week should be another quality win for them against the Buccaneers. I do think the Ravens have the upper hand here in this game. It's not at home, but I still think the Ravens are a good quality team. So I think with Derrick Henry and company there, majority of their team healthy, and Mark Andrews finally getting a little bit more going, I think maybe the Ravens are a team to be reckoned with, as we had always thought they were. They scared us a little bit in the beginning of the season, but now they're rolling. They're sitting here at 4-2. I think it's a high possibility that they move to 5-2 after this Buccaneers game, but we'll see. For now, they'll sit at 4, looking pretty scary as well. Let's see, man. It's going to be a good season going forward. Now, here at 3, guys, I know that Trey is going to be so mad at me. Maybe a few other people who aren't even Chiefs fans, but I have the Chiefs sitting here at number 3. They moved down 1 spot for me after being number 2 last week. It was their bye week, but you'll see why I did it later on. The Chiefs, of course, have the 49ers this week, so I think this is going to be one of their tougher matchups this year. Not saying any of their other games weren't tough, as they were all within most likely 1 score. It might be 1 game where it wasn't, but the Chiefs still have to surprise me. I feel like they're playing quality football, but they're not playing spectacular football like I want them to be. And that's why I haven't put them at number 1 yet. For now, the Chiefs are going to sit at 3 for me. They have a tough matchup again after this bye week going against the 49ers. So we'll see if they can pull it off. If they do, I think that's warranting them at least moving up 1 spot. But again, we'll have to see what happens to the teams above them. And of course, they have to get that win first for me. So here we go. This one might be a shocker to y'all, but it might not be, because I have been talking highly about this team and the next team. But here at 2, I'm going to have the Minnesota Vikings. Yes, again, another team on a bye week, not staying at the same spot as last week. Again, spoiler alert, the Lions are my number 1 pick here. But the Vikings on their bye week just have to move down for me, especially after that quality, crazy, and spectacular win by the Lions. I think the Vikings are warranted moving down at least 1 spot here. And of course, if they get the win next week against the Lions, they're going to move up ahead of them. But since this matchup is coming into, of course, this Sunday 12 o'clock slate, I think the Detroit Lions will get this win here. Even though they lost Aiden Hutchinson, I still think the Detroit Lions are a better team offensively and defensively. But we'll have to wait and see. I might eat my words after this, but I'll have the Vikings at 2, and we'll just transition right here. No reason to pause this video or do my slideshow. But here at number 1, we have the Detroit Lions. And again, like I said, they just got a highly quality win against the Cowboys. I mean, when you beat a team down 47-9 and you continued to keep the gas pedal down, this just shows you the quality of MCDC here, killing it in Detroit. I mean, he's pieced this team together with the GM and the owner there in Detroit, and they've done some quality stuff with getting these guys developed, getting everybody on the same page. And I think the Lions are looking to be contenders for the Super Bowl here, in my opinion. Now, this may be way too early here going into week 7, as there is going to be 11 more weeks after this. Man, it's just hard to tell. But right now, the Lions look good to me. I'm so sad that Aiden Hutchinson got hurt. But again, that quality win against Dallas, going into this game against the Vikings, it's going to be tough. And it's probably going to be their toughest game all year. It's a divisional rival. It's in Minnesota. It's going to be a great game. This is going to be a game that I'm going to watch. I finally have this Sunday off, and I'm going to take full advantage of it. This one's going to be on one screen, Red Zone on another, and maybe 2 other games below it. But this one I'm going to be paying attention to. I think this is going to be a high-quality game. And, of course, 2 of the best teams, in my opinion, as I have them at 1 and 2 here. We'll see what happens. One of these teams has to lose, so for sure, one of them is going to be moving down. Who will it be? I think it's the Vikings. Who do you think it's going to be? Of course, that's going to be my power rankings for week 7. We'll see how they are week 8. We'll see how your team does this week. Of course, always hit the like button. Leave a comment down below if you think I'm crazy, if you think that I'm correct, if you think that I'm the best power ranker of all time. Let me know down in the comments. But of course, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell, because we're going to be going live almost every single day, releasing a video all other days that we're not. And of course, you just want to keep up with us, because I feel like our content is super fun, super enjoyable, and we love interacting with you guys. So if you're not feeling like watching a bunch of videos, go ahead and go down in the Discord below. And if you just want to talk, we got a Discord there too, where we'll just talk football all day, fantasy all day, betting all day. We're trying to be as much as we can available for y'all, but of course we need y'all's support. So get down in the Discord, hit the subscribe button, and follow us everywhere you can: TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. But other than that, guys, that's going to be week 7 for me. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Other than that, as we always say, keep on grinding.